debates, like we've had a few debates that maybe we could come back to now and just flick through. I don't know how you feel about that. So have you got your document? The one today, 22nd of September, is the best one, because that is, it's got all the debates from previous weeks in, which maybe have one or two slight corrections or bits missing, but nothing much this time. Very little different, but it does have the 3 extra little bits, which we've prepared for tonight. So it's got everything in basically, so the old and the new. So if you want to look at that, Tariq debate 22nd September. Jason should have sent it to you. Maybe he's putting it in chat or something as well. Everybody got it? Yeah? You got it, Thomas? He's nodding his head. Glad you could join us. I hear you've been very busy lately.
Yeah, they keep me busy here.
Okay, so the first one is like going right back to the beginning, sign in general. It's got a very broad, inclusive sort of general definition, hasn't it? So what's the definition of sign, Paul?
That which is set as a sign.
And if applied to a base?
So if we apply to the base of sound, so that which is set as a sound, proof of sound is impermanent by a sign product. So product is that which is set as a sign, and proof of sound is impermanent by a sign product.
Yes, but in the book it says that which is set as a sign is the definition of sign. Mm-hmm. And if applied to a base, that which is set as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent is the definition of sign in the proof of sound is impermanent. So that's how we set off. If it is selfless, it's necessarily set as a sign in general and set as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent in particular. Mm-hmm. So this debate is from there, I guess. If I'm not mistaken. Anyway, we'll soon find out. So in our own system, it is accepted that if it is selfless, it is necessarily set as a sign in general and set as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent in particular. So with respect to that, someone says, so it's clear that this is not Poland who's speaking then. If it is selfless, it is necessarily set as a sign in general, because of your assertion, yes, that's not exactly our assertion. The subject, that which is not set as a sign, it follows that it is set as a sign because it is selfless. Yeah. Okay, Marco. That which is not set as a sign, it follows it is set as a sign. Microphone.
I accept.
Mm-hmm. So that which is not set as a sign, that is set as a sign because of your acceptance. So it follows there is a common base of that which is not set as a sign and that which is set as a sign.
Why?
Because that which is not set as a sign is that common base.
No provision?
No provision. So it is, you accept that that which is not set as a sign is that which is not set as a sign. And it is, sorry. So that which is not set as a sign, it is a common base of being not set as a sign and set as a sign.
Why?
Because it is the first one, that which is not set as a sign, and it is the second one, that which is set as a sign. So it is the first and it is the second. So which are you disagreeing with?
With the first one.
So that which is not set as a sign, it follows it is set as a sign.
Yeah, accept.
That which is not set as a sign is not set as a sign.
Why?
So that which is not set as a sign is not set as a sign because it is itself.
No provision?
Then you better say reason not established there.
Mm.
It follows it's not itself. Yeah, I think you have to accept that. It is not itself. It's like saying definition is not a definition. You know, if you've done definitions and definite them.
Okay.
Like definition is not a definition. So that which is not set as a sign is set as a sign. So that which is not set as a sign is not set as a sign. I think that's what you have to say. Anyway, thanks for your answers. So that which is not set as a sign, it follows it is set as a sign because of your acceptance. So yeah, we know, cool, or we accept that. So that which is not set as a sign, not held as a sign, it follows that it is held as a sign because of your acceptance. So that's just set, held, and not much difference there. Accept. The subject, that not held as a reason, it follows that it is held as a reason because of your acceptance. Yes, you have to accept that because sign and reason, they're just two different words for the same thing. So we can have it's called those like, you know, just equivalent or synonyms or something. Okay, so it follows that that not held as a reason does not exist because you have accepted that even that not held as a reason is that which is held as a reason because it is selfless. So that not held as a reason does not exist. Well, it could be the case. What do you think? So if accepted, it follows that a product not held as a reason does not exist. Because if it is a product, it is necessarily held as a reason. So what do you think, Renato? A product not held as a reason does not exist. It follows that a product not held as a reason does not exist. Renato, he's the guy with us tonight. In the room, you can see the room. So, yeah, there he is.
Yeah, I guess I accept.
Product held as a reason does not exist. Because if it is a product, it's necessarily held as reason. Well, there's something going for that. So then, it follows that if it is a product, it is necessarily that which is set as a sign, because if it is a product, it is necessarily selfless.
Yeah.
You accept?
Yeah,
Renato accepts that. If it's a product, it is necessarily that which is set as a sign. Okay, but if accepted, it follows there is no person who does not hold product as a sign. Because product not held as a sign does not exist. So what about me? I don't hold product as a sign. I'm not, you know, or my sister sitting at home, just watching telly, she doesn't hold product as a sign. Yeah. So it follows there is a person who does not hold product as a sign. A person who does not hold product as a sign exists. Renato.
such a person exists.
You accept?
Yeah.
So there is a person who does not hold product as a sign.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So if it is a product, it is not necessarily held as a sign.
I think so, isn't it? The problem
Okay, Francois, you're with us. Can you hear?
Yes,
What's your
sorry, Geshe-la. I don't know at which debate we are on right now. I'm totally lost.
Oh, well, we're on, have you got the document, today's document, Tariq
Yes.
debate, 22nd September?
Yeah.
It's the first debate there, just the last couple of lines, the last few lines.
Okay.
But if you haven't been able to follow, that's okay. What about you, Yael? So it follows that if it's a product, it's necessarily held as a reason.
No clue, Geshe-la. Too many words for me. I'm totally out of it. Sorry.
I thought you were one of the advanced debating group at Nalanda Monastery.
That's a very wrong consciousness. Very wrong,
Well,
unfortunately.
I'm sure they'd be glad to have you with them. They'd be honored. Thomas, if it is a product, it's necessarily held as a reason.
Except.
If it's a product, it's necessarily held as a sign.
Except.
If it's a product, it's not necessarily held as a sign, because there is because my sister is not holding product as a sign. So
No pervasion.
no pervasion. My sister is not holding product as a sign, right? She's just watching telly, you know, and eating sort of a telly food. Whatever, snacks, telly snacks. She's just eating snacks and watching television. Yeah. So my sister is not holding product as a sign.
Except.
Yeah. So there is someone who does not hold the product as a sign.
Except.
So if it is a product, it is not necessarily held as a sign.
Why?
Because the product which is not held by a sign by my sister is the example.
There's no pervasion.
That breaks the pervasion. If you can find someone who doesn't hold product as a sign, therefore you've got a product that's not held as a sign. Well, there is a product not held as a sign because there's a product not held as a sign by my sister.
Except.
Pardon?
Yeah. There's no pervasion.
No pervasion, positive pervasion.
So just because your sister does not hold product as a sign does not mean the product is not held as a sign.
Yeah, it has to be something like that. You know, what should we say? If it exists in one place, so if it exists in this room, it necessarily exists, right? But if it doesn't exist in the room, does it necessarily not exist? Something like that.
Can we say that if there exists a person that holds product as a sign, product necessarily exists as a sign?
Yeah, it's the person who's going to do the holding. So if there's a person who holds product as a sign, then necessarily product is held as a sign. But if there's a person who doesn't hold product as a sign, is product necessarily not held as a sign? Something like that. Yes, Paul?
Does held here mean realised or just they assert?
Well, it doesn't have to be realised, because if we're not talking about correct signs here, we're talking about signs in general. So the sign could completely be a wrong sign. You know, sound is a product. Sound is follows it's impermanent because it's uncaused space or something. It doesn't have to be, you know, realised. But in their mind, they are thinking of it as a sign, or they're claiming that it's a sign, asserting it is a sign, even if they're only asserting it to themselves, you know, somehow. Okay, so so this is going to help when we talk about correct signs and fake signs or quasi signs. What I've just said, yeah. So if it's like the good example here is currency. I think we're coming up, yeah. Yeah, well, we can talk about it here. So if you have legal currency, we say legal tender in English, but you can say legal currency. So if you can say like the, I don't know, the Swedish krona or something, the Swedish krona. If it's legal country in one country, it's necessarily legal tender, right? Such as the Swedish krona. But if it's not legal currency, if it's not legal currency in one country, in another country, then it's not necessarily not legal currency, is it? So you take the Swedish krona and you try to buy something in Lavore with it, they just say, we don't want that, we can't accept that. Yeah, so it's not legal tender, it's not legal currency in France. But just because it's not a legal currency in France, it doesn't mean it's not a legal currency. So if it is legal currency, legal tender in one country, it's necessarily legal tender. But if it's not legal tender in one country, it's not necessarily not legal tender. See what I mean? Please think about that. Is that what the conclusion you came to, by chance? People have actually debated a bit about it.
Yeah, I agree with Thomas. It's not because it's not because somebody doesn't accept that product isn't a sign that product is not a sign.
If it's held as a sign by one person, it's necessarily held as a sign, yeah. But if it's not held as a sign by one person, my sister, it doesn't mean it's not held as a sign. It's just not held as a sign by her. So there's a bit of difference there. Okay. So what about this pencil then? This pencil, yeah, can you see the pencil? Yeah, yeah, yeah. This pencil is held in my hand then. This pencil is being held in my hand. Accept, Jan?
Yes.
You see the pencil?
Yeah, accept.
So it follows this pencil, it follows it is held in my hand. So therefore, if the subject is pencil, it follows it is held in the hand of a person.
Yeah, accept.
It's held in the hand of a person because it's held in my hand, yeah, and I'm a person, right? So so this pencil, it follows it is not being held in David's hand.
Accept.
I'm not David, right? I've never been called David. It's not being held in David's hand. So therefore, this pencil is not being held by the hand of a person.
Why?
It's not being held in the hand of a person because it's not being held in David's hand, and David is a person.
So no perversion.
So this pencil is not being held is not being held in the hand of someone.
Why?
Because it's not being held in the hand of David, and he is someone.
No perversion.
No provision. Look, so this pencil is being held in the hand of everybody in the world.
Why?
So there's somebody who's not holding this pencil in their hand.
Yeah.
For instance, Jan Anderson.
Yeah, I'm not holding it.
Yeah, so Jan Anderson is not holding this pencil in his hand.
Accept.
This hand is, there's somebody not holding this pencil in the hand.
Accept.
So this pencil is not being held by the hand of somebody.
Why?
Because somebody is not holding it in their hand.
Then there's
Passive.
no perversion. Yeah.
This passive is the same meaning. Somebody is not holding this pencil in their hand. Accept. So this hand is not being held. This pencil is not being held in the hand of somebody. Same meaning.
Why? It's not
Because
the same meaning.
one is active and one is passive, like if you do a bit of grammar. Somebody is not holding this pencil in the hand, for instance, Jan Anderson. So this pencil is not being held in the hand of someone, for instance, Jan Anderson.
Yeah, it's not being held in the hand of someone, but somebody is holding it in the hand.
Yeah. Yes, so you're in danger there. Yeah, so that's that's one you can lead people onto from yeah. So what is the like correct sign? I think is a bit like that, isn't it? Correct sign and quasi sign, which we don't have a debate directly on, maybe, but yeah. So if you wanted to say, so as we have asked before, ask again now, see if we get a clear answer. So the subject product, considering the subject product, is it a correct sign? What do you think, Jake?
Except.
So the subject product, is it a quasi sign?
Except.
So there's a person who's accepting here that there is a common locus, common base of being a correct sign and being a quasi sign.
Except.
Means, you know, fake sign or something like. Yeah. So is there a common base of being, let's say, an actual person and being a quasi person?
Why?
So there's so there's no common locus of being an actual person and a fake person.
Except.
So there's no common locus of being a correct sign and a fake sign.
Why?
Because there's no common locus of being an actual person and a fake person, and the reasoning is exactly the same.
No provision to the first and not established to the second.
Well, the reasoning's the same. I think you could accept the reasoning is the same, haven't you? An actual person and a fake person, no common base. An actual sign, or, you know, correct sign, and a fake sign, no common base. So I thought we were going to say that
you said correct and incorrect. You didn't say correct person and incorrect person.
well, it's a quasi sign, isn't it? So that means like a similitude of a person. So when you think about an actual person, yes, the similitude of the person is something like a rubber doll or robot or something, you know.
Mm.
So like that. So an actual person that is equivalent to correct sign, and in both cases we could say similitude of a person or similitude of a sign. Yeah, okay. The wording might be a bit different, but I think the force of the argument is the same, though. Personally, if you don't accept a common base of an actual person and a fake person, an actual person, the similitude of a person, then why should you accept a common base of correct sign and fake sign, or similitude of a sign?
Because it depends on the context.
Well, it doesn't depend on the context for there to be a common base, no common base between a correct sign, between an actual person and a fake person. That doesn't depend on context.
Yeah, because I can posit you as an actual monk and I can posit you as a quasi nun.
Quasi?
A quasi nun.
None. Come on.
So you're a common basis of a person and a quasi person.
Quasi. Like you, is there a common base between a genuine currency and a fake currency?
Yes, except.
Yes.
Yes.
So there's a genuine currency which is also a forgery.
Except.
What are you thinking of? The Bitcoin or something?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Well, it depends. If you give if I were to give you in France, try to pay for something with £1 with some pounds, this would perform the function and is suitable to be called a fake francs, fake euros.
They're not fake euros. Pounds are just a different currency. They're still legal. They're not fake. They're not forged. They're genuine, but they're just not genuine in that context, but they're genuine. You know, they're not legal currency in that context. It's a legal currency, so you shouldn't call the pound a fake or a forgery. Queen would be most upset.
Okay, except
Got her picture on. Yeah, so I think that's where we're going with that. With the first debate, actually, yeah, you know, just because it is a fake, just because it is, if it's an actual currency, if it's a legal currency in one country, then it's a legal currency. But if it's not a legal currency in another country, that doesn't mean it's not a legal currency. So it's like that with the correct sign, I think. You know, we say product is a correct sign. But then just because it's not a correct sign in another, you know, syllogism which you make up, you know, like unquote space, it is permanent because it is sound or something. So that point, you know, sound is a product is a what did I say? But let's try it again. So if you took a subject like, you know, sound, it follows it is impermanent, it's unquote space because it is a product, yeah. So at that time, product is you know, quasi sign. But just because it's a quasi sign in one context doesn't mean it's necessarily a quasi sign. But if it's a correct sign in one context, then let's say it is a correct sign. So I think that's how these debates are going. But,
so there is a common locus though between being a quasi sign and a correct sign.
Well, if somebody says product, is it a correct sign? Yeah, I would say yes. Is it a quasi sign? I'd say no. And you say, oh, look, product, why is it a correct sign? Because it's a correct sign, the proof of sound is impermanent. Also, a product, it follows as a quasi sign because it's a quasi sign in the proof of sound as unquote space or something. But I would say that's no pervasion, yeah. Because it's a correct sign in one case, it's necessarily a correct sign. If there's a quasi sign in one case, it's not necessarily a quasi sign. Just like with your currency, your legal tender. That's just my idea, and I think that's borne out by the, you know, the other debates you might come across. But yeah, it's just to get us debating, so it's not kind of sort of just gets our minds getting flexible on these subjects using the terms that are coming up here.
Can I just check that? So your line of reasoning is that because product is an instance of being a correct sign, it's necessarily a correct sign. But it's not because product is an instance of being a quasi sign that it is a quasi sign.
Yeah.
Couldn't we say that it follows that product is a quasi sign because it is an instance of a quasi sign, and the reasoning is absolutely 100% the same.
Yeah, so that's the other way of looking at it. But then if you accept that product is both a correct sign and a quasi sign, then are you going to accept there's a common base of, you know, actual person and quasi person? So, you know, what's the best solution? Is there a common locus between, you know, a legal currency and a fake currency? It's not quite like that, yeah. So yeah, if pot exists in this room, it necessarily exists. But if it doesn't exist in this room, it doesn't necessarily not exist. So like that. If there's one case of it, you know, existing, then it exists. But there's some case of it not existing, you know, not being correct, not being a correct sign. That doesn't automatically make an incorrect sign, you know, a quasi sign. Something like that. So I'm giving you a lot of help here. But I'm sure you've debated a bit these things a bit, so that's good.
May I ask?
Yeah.
Can we actually say that product is an instance of quasi sign? This doesn't sound right now.
So subject product follows as a quasi sign. So why?
Yeah, I would say why. Because it is an instance of quasi sign. I would not have
Well, product, he says product is a quasi-sign because it's a quasi-sign in the proof of sound as being uncoarse space. So it is a quasi-sign in that proof. So it is a quasi-sign in the proof of something. But just because it's a quasi-sign in the proof of something, it's not necessarily a quasi-sign. So that's
So it's also not an instance of quasi-sign, because to be an instance of quasi-sign, first criteria, first it is a quasi-sign.
yeah. Well, if you're taking the words, getting more deep, taking his words literally, yeah. Okay, I wasn't going to that level, yeah, but fair enough. So so another little point early on then is that at the top of page 11, our little booklet, it says, if it is set as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product, it must be one with product. If it's set as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product, it must be one with product. So that's the top of page 11. Is it in your booklet? Is it in the debate document? I don't know, I can't remember if that's there. No, it doesn't. The debate just sets off assuming that, but that's where it is in the book, yeah? If it is set as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product, it must be one with product. So that's the top of page 11. So the next debate comes from, in response to that claim. So the debate begins at the bottom of page 9, but this is in the debate book, not in this book you've got here, but in the other book of debates on the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics. So page 9 in there, which is only Tibetan at the moment. The debate is, if it is one with product, is it necessarily a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent or not? What do you say to that? Jason?
So did you mention me then?
Jason, yeah.
Sorry. What did you say?
In the book it says, if it is set as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product, it must be one with product. Here it's going the other way around. So if it is one with product, is it necessarily a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent? Or not?
Why?
For example?
I think it's something like someone who is not wondering whether a product is impermanent.
So subject product, is it a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent or not? That's a simple question. Subject product, is it a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent?
Why?
Because when somebody says to you, look, as we did on Saturday, the subject sound, it is impermanent because it's a product, just like the last moment of the butter lamp. The last moment of the flame of the butter lamp, when you meditate on the last moment of the flame of the butter lamp and you realize it is product is necessarily impermanent on that, then you transfer your understanding of the pervasion onto the subject of the syllogism, sound itself, and then you realize, oh, sound's impermanent. So product has been the key, sign. Didn't you realize impermanent last Saturday? Subtle impermanence. All my effort, all our meditation together.
It was close.
Yeah, Buddha Pallet should be proud of you, man.
So not everyone's wondering whether, something is impermanent.
Okay, so if there's a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent, it has to be a correct sign for everybody in the whole world. Is that what you're saying?
Why?
You're not saying that. So if it's a correct sign for one person, one person ascertains that sound is impermanent and depends about that sign, then it's necessarily it follows it is a correct sign in that proof. That's enough.
If it's being held by one person, it's necessarily a correct sign.
One person ascertains. No, to be a correct sign, somebody has to ascertain that sound is impermanent, independent upon that sign. They don't just have to believe or hold it. They have to use it, you know, and say, because it's, you know, a product, it must be impermanent. Therefore, sound itself must be impermanent. You know, so it's got to work for them. They got to realize the predicate, the probandum. So, you know, some people, they never bother thinking about it in their whole lives. Other people, you know, they don't need to think about it because they already know that sound's impermanent. But there's some people, like you almost on Saturday,
Yeah, but someone may not necessarily know that if it's impermanent, it's necessarily a product.
yeah, well, those guys, we're not talking about them. If there's one person, if there's one country in which it's a legal tender, legal currency, then it is a legal currency, right?
Except, yeah.
There's one person who realizes sound is impermanent, independence about that sign, you know, generates the inference with that sign as the basis, then it's a correct sign.
If you put it like that, accept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So product is a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent.
Because there is someone holding it as a correct sign.
Well, I wouldn't say holding. Holding is like just, they take it, you know, you can hold an incorrect sign. No. But it's like ascertaining. I think that's the key issue. When we come to the definition of correct sign, you know, it's like independent on you ascertain, you know, realize. So there's one person who realized sound is impermanent by the sign product. Somebody did.
But I thought one of the definitions of that, you know, that which is the three modes of a correct sign. Well, yeah, I mean, okay. There has to be someone wondering whether sound is impermanent by the sign. Whether sound is impermanent. Full stop.
Yeah, so the person who's realized that sound is impermanent, independent of that sign, at some stage he was wondering, yeah.
Mm.
So it's him or her. Yeah, it's true. Like if you pinpoint for whom it's a correct sign, it should be the person who's still wondering whether sound is impermanent or not. That's a good point, you know, because you know you're trying to persuade somebody, like, and that's the guy it's a correct sign for when he's realized, yes, that sound is a product, and he's realized if it's a product, it's necessarily impermanent, and he knows those things. Then you can say, therefore, it follows that sound is impermanent then because it's a product, you know. So you say it to the person who's like, yeah, he's in the middle of it, yeah. It's not a correct sign for somebody afterwards who's realized sound's impermanent. But independent on the fact that he did realize, you know, sound is impermanent by the sign product, at some stage then he was the correct second party that you insist must be there. So that's fair enough. You know, if I've already realized sound is impermanent, it's not a correct sign for me. But I can say it was a correct sign for me, you know, in the process when I was thinking, oh yes, sound is a product, and if it's a product, it's necessarily impermanent. Therefore, that means that sound is it impermanent or not? Then, you know, so at that time it was a correct sign for the person who's ascertained sound is impermanent by that sign. You see. So then it follows that product is a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent.
Accept.
Yes?
Accept.
Finally accept. 10 minutes, yeah. And if it is one with product, it is necessarily a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent.
If it's one with product, it's necessarily accept.
So if you say yes, then going on with this debate now, on bottom of page 9 it's called. So the subject product at the time of stating the subject uncompounded space, it is impermanent because it's a product. Obviously that's a wrong sign, you know. It follows that it is a correct proof in the proof of sound is impermanent because it is one with product. Yeah, product at the time of stating the subject uncompounded space, it is impermanent because it's a product. It follows that it is a correct sign in the proof of sounds impermanent because it is one with product. So if you accept that then it follows that product at the time of stating the subject uncompounded space, it is impermanent because this product is a correct sign. Because it's one with product. Or is it? If not established. So that if it's not established that product at the time of stating the subject uncompounded space, it is impermanent because it's a product, is a correct sign. So if you disagree with that, the subject product at the time of setting the sign in the proof of sound as impermanent, it follows that it is not one with product, because product at the time of setting as a sign in the proof of uncompounded space is impermanent is not one with product, and it is in all ways similar. Please debate. So that needs a bit of thinking about, maybe. Yeah, but I think the first one, I think, you know, what Jason accepted, I think you should accept that. If it is one with product, it's necessarily a correct sign in the proof of sounds impermanent. Well, maybe somebody could come up with a fancy debate. But yeah, I would accept that. Would you accept it, Anila? If it is one with product, is it necessarily a correct sign in the proof of sound as impermanent?
Accept.
Yes. Okay.
What about like an isolate?
An isolate, is that one with product?
No, it's not. Doesn't matter. I retract.
Yeah, so yeah, but you've got to check these things out, you know. But I think that's he's leaving that one open for us to decide. I'm saying it is. So the subject product at the time of stating the subject uncompounded space, it is impermanent because it's a product, yeah. So at the time of stating product in this false sign, it follows that product is a correct sign and the proof of sound is impermanent because it's one with product. So do you agree with that? Francois?
No, I would not agree.
So the subject product at the time of stating the subject uncompounded space, it is impermanent because it's a product. It follows it is not a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent.
Accept.
The subject product at the time of stating the subject uncompounded space, it is impermanent because it's a product. Follows is not one with product.
Accept.
So the subject product at the time of setting, the subject at the time of stating sound, it is impermanent because it's a product. It follows that's not one with product.
Accept.
So the subject product at the time of stating at the time of stating the subject sound, it is impermanent because it's a product. It's not a correct sign.
Accept.
So product at the time of setting product as a sign in the proof of sounds impermanent. It's not a correct sign.
Accept.
Not. So when is it a correct sign? If product is not a correct sign at the time of setting product as a sign in the proof of sounds impermanent, when is it a correct sign in the proof of sounds impermanent?
Okay, so product at the time of stating sound is impermanent by the sign product is a correct sign, but it is not one with product.
Ah. So if it is a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product, it's not necessarily one with product. You accept that?
Yeah.
So you've got something which is a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent, but is not one with product. Correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product, but not one with product.
Yes. Correct sign in proof of sound as impermanent. No, yeah, no. It has to be, yeah.
So if it is a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product, it's necessarily one with product.
I accept.
Yeah, that's our own system here.
Yeah.
If it is set as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product, it must be one with product.
Mm.
So if it is one with product, it must be the other way around. You know, if it's one with product, it must also be set as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product.
Accept.
So it's necessarily a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product. If it is one with product, is it necessarily a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent? Are you sort of accepting that then? Let's go back to the debate now.
Yeah.
Okay, so the subject product at the time of stating the subject uncompound space, it is impermanent because it's a product. It follows it is a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent because it is one with product.
Reason established.
Okay, so at that time, the product of stating that it's not one with product then.
Accept.
So that, but then what about then you say at the product at the time of stating the subject sound, it is impermanent because it's a product. That follows that is not one with product then. That product.
No, it's not.
It's not one with product.
No.
So the subject product at the time of setting product as a sign as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent. It's not one with product, so therefore it's not a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product.
I accept.
So product at the time of setting product as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent is not a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent.
I accept.
Okay, so product is not a correct sign at the time of setting product as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent. So when is it going to be a correct sign? It's not a correct sign at that time. It is not a correct sign at the time it's set as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent. When is it going to be a correct sign?
Yeah.
I think we better ask Anila here. Bit of clarity. So the subject product at the time of stating the subject uncompounded space, it is impermanent because it's a product. It follows it is one with product.
Why?
Because it's a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent.
Product at the time of stating uncompounded space.
It is impermanent because it's a product.
Yeah.
But at that time, it follows it is correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent because it is one with product.
Reason not established.
So the subject product at the time of stating, product at the time of stating the subject uncompounded space, it is impermanent because it's a product, is not one with product.
I accept.
So product at the time of stating the subject sound, it is impermanent because it's a product. It follows that is not one with product.
I accept.
So the subject product at the time of stating the subject sound, it is impermanent because it's a product, is not a correct sign in the proof of sound being impermanent?
Say again, Gisela, please.
The subject product at the time of stating, you know, the subject sound, it is impermanent because it's a product. Right? It follows it is not a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent.
Why?
Because it's not one with product.
No pervasion.
There is a pervasion. If it's a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product, it is necessarily one with product.
No, but what we said is it is a correct sign in the proof of sound. It is correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent, that I accept, but it is not the correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product.
Product of the sign at the time of setting product is a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent. Right.
Yeah.
It's not a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product.
I accept.
But it is a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent.
I accept.
So if it is but the question here is, if it is one with product, it is necessarily a correct sign in the proof of sound is impermanent. So you accept that?
Yes, I accept.
And if it is set as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product, it must be one with product.
If it is set, say again, Gisela, please. If it is set.
I'm just reading from the book. If it is set as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product, it must be one with product.
I accept, yeah. That's yeah, that's our system.
Yeah. So product at the time of setting sign, setting product as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent. It follows it is not one with product.
I accept.
Product of the sign at the time of setting product at the time of setting product as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent. It's not one with product.
I accept.
The subject product at the time of today. The subject product today, it follows is not one with product.
I accept.
Product today is one with product as it always is.
As it always is.
Yeah, product is one with product, so product is one with product today. It's one with product. It's one with product.
No,
tomorrow. Product is one with product yesterday. Product is always one with product.
No pervasion. Product as such is always fine. It's always one with product. But product today is an instance of product because there is product today, product tomorrow, product the day after tomorrow. So product today is not one with product, it's an instance of product.
Product is one with product. Even today, product is one with product.
No, why?
Because it's always one with product. Product is one with product always. You accept that?
Product is always one with product. Product today is not always one with product. It is not one with product.
Don't lecture. Product, it follows it's always one with product.
The subject product, it follows it is always one with product. I accept.
The subject product, it is one with product always.
Product is one with why? Product always is one always.
Yeah, product is always one with product. So it's like saying product is one with product always.
No, it's not the same.
Well, there's just a difference in the order of the words. I can't see it makes any difference in the meaning. I go to town I go to town always on Wednesdays.
Hmm.
I go to town, I always go to town on Wednesdays.
Hmm.
I go to town on Wednesdays, always. Yeah, it sounds like okay to me, yeah? So it follows the product is one with product, product is always one with product.
Except.
Product is one with product every day.
Why?
Because product is one with product, whether it's Tuesday, whether it's Wednesday, whether it's Thursday, product is one with product. It's just in its very nature to be one with product.
Yes, to one with product, but not with product.
Whether it's 12 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock in the morning, product is one with product. Come on.
May I explain something, Joshua, please?
No, we've had enough of explanation. We want acceptance of common sense. Product is one with product, whether it's Tuesday, whether it's Wednesday today, you know, whether we're in Slovakia, whether we're in France, whether we're up in heaven, whether we're down below the earth. Product is one with product.
Accept.
Yeah. So product is one with product. At the time of setting product in the proof of sound is impermanent.
Why?
Product is one with product. At the time of setting product in the proof of sound is impermanent.
Why?
Because the product is one with product on Tuesdays. It's one with product on Wednesdays. It's one with product in the mornings. It's one with product, you know, in the east. It's one with product when we're talking in the west. When we're talking in the east. So one with product so product is one with product at any time. Always, every day, eternally. So then it follows that product is one with product at the time of setting product as a sign in the proof of sound is impermanent.
Mm-hmm. No.
It is, because it's a product. Product is one with product at all time.
No.
Subject product. It is one with product at all times because product is always one with product.
To that I say no pervasion. Because if you put the feature after the product, then it's taken as one unit. So only product today is one with product today. But product is not one with product today.
Product is one with product today because product is one with product always. You've accepted the reason.
No, I never accepted that. Product is always one. Correct. Product is always one with product, but product is not one with product always. This is what I'm saying.
Jak to snažíš zvrtnout?
Snažím, ale já to nedám jen tak snadno.
Well, think about it. Think about it. If you can come up with a kind of, you know, a better system than that, then we can make progress. Yeah. So I'm, you know, it definitely hinges on the way you have to, you know, your product is one with product always, right? At any time. But you said that before, didn't you, Paul?
Yeah, we had
a couple of classes ago.
Yeah, we had a query for the English. So product at the time of stating product as a sign in the proof of sounds influenced by a sign product. It's just taking product itself. And it's just saying at the time of stating. So I can see the confusion if you say product at the time of stating. That's not one with product. But product separate, product itself, just product at the time of stating sounds influenced by a sign product. Then here, that product is one with product.
So that's all I'm asking, you see. Tuesday's product is not one with product. Tuesday's product is an instance of product. But product is one with product on Tuesdays. Please think about it. Tuesday's product is not one with product, but product is one with product on Tuesday. the subject product, I mean, product is one with product in Slovakia, right? I don't know, in Slovakia. She's in Slovakia. Are you in actual Slovakia or fake Slovakia?
Slovakia, Gisela.
Product is one with product in Slovakia.
Why?
Because product is universally one with product. Universally.
No pervasion.
Yes, so think about it. Okay, let's do a little bit from the text. We have 15 minutes left. Yeah, so that's trying to clear up some of those debates. They've still got similar class and similar examples, so there's plenty more to debate. But you know what we've said today may help with those later ones also. Yeah. So you got to get rid of these kind of ambiguities and all that. So where do we get to? Page 13. So that's yeah, we did similar example last week, correct similar example. So that's a very useful component of a correct reasoning, as we were discussing on Saturday actually, with this sound is impermanent by the sign product kind of syllogism, because when you're newly realizing, especially when you're newly realizing impermanent, you know, it's very tricky to posit the correct similar example. But if you get the right one, then it means that, you know, you will get this sort of step up to realizing subtle impermanence, which is very helpful, you know, very needed. So the similar example comes in very very useful, but it is necessary, not just useful. I mean, like with the talking about the realizing fire on the top of the smoky pass by the sign smoke. How do we know that smoke necessitates fire? If there is smoke, there necessarily is fire. Just by direct observation in the smoky kitchen or looking at the bonfire in the garden. Yeah, so the correct similar example is, I would say, necessary in many cases, if not most, you know, so to get the relation between sign and predicate. Get it clear, and then you can think about the tricky example, which is the subject of the syllogism. Okay, but anyway, we're moving forward. So now the second is, that's from page 11. So the second is actual correct signs. You know, we had the division of signs into correct signs and quasi signs. So quasi signs comes quite a long way down the text. So the first part, correct signs, was divided into two. The basis relation of correct signs, which is all that about, you know, correct similar example and similar class and all that sort of stuff, and the subjects ought to be known, flawless subjects ought to be known. But now we come down to the actual explanation of correct signs, the definition. So there's one definition of correct sign, but then the different bits of correct sign need their own definitions. So it's just sort of a little section on definitions. Then you go to what are the divisions of correct sign. But here we have to sort of pause a little bit to go through the different parts of a correct sign. The definition of correct sign itself is very short, but it needs to be expanded a bit. So in the third paragraph on page 13, the second from page 11, that which is the three modes is the definition of correct sign. That which is the three modes in the proof of sounds impermanent by the sign product is the definition of correct sign in that case. Understand the way of applying that to others. Yeah. So that's pretty easy definition to remember. That which is the three modes. Not that which has the three modes. Some people think of it like that. Oh, it has this and that and the other three qualities. But it's not quite like this. But to say it is the three modes. So that's just a little tip to remember that. And then, yeah, the where it applies to individual cases is going to be there too. That which is in the three modes in the proof of sound is impermanent by the sign product. But you can see that again on its own, you know, that which is the three modes. So it doesn't say to be a correct sign, it doesn't have to be a correct sign in the proof of something. Because that which is the three modes, you see, it doesn't necessarily say in the proof of something. But yeah, what does it mean? You know, I mean, what are the implications of that? Product is the three modes because it's the three modes in the proof of sounds impermanent. So it is the three modes, therefore it is a correct sign. So I think it's okay to accept product is a correct sign. And then it not being a quasi-sign, well, the definition of quasi-sign, you could look for it in the section on quasi-sign, but I don't think you'll find it. There isn't actually a definition of quasi-sign, which is also a hint, you see. There's no definition of it. It doesn't exist. Possibly, you know, not necessarily, but possibly. So while there is a definition of correct sign, you won't find a definition of quasi-sign in this textbook, and you know, I should think the other textbooks of other monastic colleges. I was surprised if you find a definition of quasi-sign. It's not in Perbichok, you know, the Selagier text, or in the others. Okay. Well then, what are the three modes? That's the next question. The property of the subject, the forward pervasion, and the counter pervasion. The first, by the person for whom it has become the property of the subject in the proof of sound as impermanent, it is ascertained as only existent in accordance with the mode of statement on sound, is the definition of it being the property of the subject in the proof of sounds impermanent. So that's a little bit more complicated, but to puzzle over that one a bit, it's very beneficial to, you know, work out the parameters there, what's actually being required. By the person for whom it has become the property of the subject in the proof of sound as impermanent. So like Jason was you know, concerned about, there has to be somebody in this system. It's not just abstract, you know, like algebraic equations. They try to make it sound like it's got to be, you know, it's actually got to work for somebody. You've got to be able to posit somebody for whom it is the property of the subject. You know, so it's like a sort of more, tying it more to sort of practical, the way things work out in practice, not just sort of, you know, abstract sort of algebraic logic or something like in modern kind of, you know, mathematical logic. But what does it mean for whom it has become the property in the proof of sound as impermanent? Well, for him, first of all, then, it has to be ascertained as only existent in accordance with the mode of statement on sound. Yeah, so the property of the subject, as the name indicates. So first of all, the sign, because we're talking about the three modes of a correct sign. So the correct sign then has to be a property, the property of the subject, in the sense that it is ascertained as only existent in accordance with the mode of statement on sound. So, you know, we remember this in accordance with the mode of statement. You can have, when we say sound is impermanent because it is a product, that's a bit different from on the smoky pass, fire exists because smoke exists. So one is sort of an exist mode of statement and one is an is mode of statement. So in the is mode of statement then, so you've got to have whatever you're taking as your sign, say product, it's got to be ascertained as only existent in accordance with the mode of statement on sound. So it's an is mode of statement. So then, you know, that means that product will be on sound with an is mode of statement. Then it's going to be left, sound will have to be it, right? And then you've got to exist, you've got to ascertain that sound is it. So it's got to be realized. Right? Ascertained here means realized. It means known. It's not just believed or assumed. You know, these are correct signs. So they're leading to inference. So that, you know, it's definitely got to be realized, and that's done by the person for whom it is the property of the subject. I've not got much time left now. Okay, well. So the next few paragraphs are like just giving you a bit of an analysis of the different parts of that definition. For example, we can just read the first one. There is a purpose for stating existent as part of that definition, because it is for the sake of excluding object of apprehension of eye consciousness as the property of the subject, and the proof of sound is impermanent. Yeah, so object of apprehension by eye consciousness doesn't exist on sound, you see. It doesn't exist on the property. It's not a property of the subject, yeah. So it has to exist. So that property is a property of subject, you know, correct property of the subject has to exist on the subject. So you could definitely need exist in the definition then. So exist then eliminates the things that don't exist on sound, such as object of apprehension of eye consciousness. So independence upon this word existent, it, so that is object of apprehension of eye consciousness, being sound, is eliminated, because object of apprehension of eye consciousness does not exist on sound, because sound is not an object of apprehension of eye consciousness. So we have to go through each of the you know, kind of parameters of the definition, and just well, there's three more you know, little qualifications there to come. If you look in the document that we shared with you, Jason shared with you earlier today, then you'll find 2 or 3 more fresh debates on this subject of property of the subject. So you know, they're you can be looking at those, getting your mind around those, and seeing you know, that'll help you, if you look at those, help you to understand what's going on here. But you know, the property of the subject then is sound must be a product, right? Basically, sound must be the product. So in that particular case, sound being a product is not so difficult to, you know, to figure out and to come to the correct conclusion about. So this definition is trying to make you, you know, kind of make it a sort of watertight case for different cases as well, you know, so more complicated ones. But it is a definition just of the property of the subject in the proof of sound is impermanent, see? So it's not giving the definition of property of the subject in general. So it's just keeping it to a particular instance. Anyway, so we didn't get very far down the text, but you know, we do need some time to do a bit of debate and give you a bit of help with those things. So I hope that was useful to you. Thank you for your contributions. So we'll stop there then.
Thanks a lot, Kushila.
Thank you.
Thank you.